It's been a week of major political events. Afrika Mayibuye held its convention as it prepares for the local government elections. The EFF wrapped up its 4th Central Command team meeting in Limpopo, while the ANC is preparing for its National General Council next week. Now, for some analysis for political stories making headlines, we are now joined by political analyst Professor Mazwe Majola. And Prof, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. Let's start off here. The ANC next week will be going into its National General Council. What are your expectations from that meeting?
Yes, good evening, Bali. It's a very important gathering for the ANC because it's a gathering that normally takes place between the national conferences, where they would assemble and assess progress and review and refine certain policies, and also deal with some internal issues or challenges, and also even looking into the government performance, how the government has performed. This time around, it's going to be different and difficult for them because it's the first time they are going to do this within the national, or rather the coalition government, or the government of national unity that they have. Before, it's better, it would have been they're only deployed in the government. So whenever they talk about certain progress or certain challenges, it was easy because it was, their own deployees. But this time around, you talk about government, there are other deployees from other political parties.
When it comes to the ANC's NGC meeting, we've seen various reports from the party, which the party has also refuted when it comes to a plot to oust President Cyril Ramaphosa. And if you remember in the past, these kind of stories started at an NGC level when it comes to the removal of an ANC president. Can we expect this rhetoric going into this NGC?
I don't think this will happen in this NGC. Yes, there is some divisions and infighting within the ANC, but it's not as it used to be in 2005, when the then NGC reversed the decision of Thabo Mbeki after Thabo Mbeki had just suspended or fired Jacob Zuma. He did that in June. And then the NGC took place in July. They went there, and then the NGC made sure that Jacob Zuma was back into ANC structures.
And Professor, when it comes to also looking at the ANC and the various challenges that it is facing, it finds itself dipping below 50% at the polls. When you look at the outcomes of the 2024 elections, they are in a government of national unity. Next year, it is the 2026 local government elections. I'm sure they will be trying to look at in terms of how they will re-strategize going into the polls next year.
Absolutely. This will be exactly what they will be dealing with this week in terms of strategizing, and also try to devise a compelling and persuasive plan and strategy in terms of how they recoup and come back. Because remember, as things stand now, the ANC is in coalition, or the national government unity nationally, in provinces, KZN and Gauteng, they're in coalition. In many metros, they're in coalition, including Tshwane, Johannesburg, and Ekurhuleni. So next year, they have to win. It's a do or die for ANC next year. This NGC, it's so critical and so important as to how are they going to recoup not only the support, because remember that Mbali, first of all, ANC has lost many members. So even internally, membership has declined. And there's this erosion of trust between the party and the supporters, even outside of the ANC. So it's really a big task, or a tall order, for them to say, well, how are we going to rebound or bounce back next week? Remember, they've got the issue of the SACP this time around. For the first time, SACP saying we are going solo next year. We are going to contest elections independently and separately. But the problem is that SACP says, but we still want to continue at in the alliance. So these are challenges that they'll be facing, and also compounded that is the national election that is coming in 2027. You know that ANC love to start early in campaigning, but now the leadership is trying to suppress that and say, look, let us wait, let us not do this thing, because this is going to affect our resolve to win the elections next year. So they have myriad of challenges that they'll be dealing with in this NGC this week.
And how does it do that? How does it, try and recover from last year's elections, particularly now at a time where it faces, corruption allegations leveled against it? I mean, we know that just yesterday, the ANC's Senzo Mchunu was before the Madlanga Commission around political interference allegations as well as criminal infiltration within the criminal justice system. How does it, try and weigh or sway some of its voters back into its fold when it has serious corruption allegations leveled against some of its members?
It's important to restore trust. Yes, ANC is a membership organization, so naturally they will be very focused on their members to make sure that they take care of their members are satisfied. But the membership, as I've said earlier on, has declined. If I can just give an example, last year in 2024, ANC got 6 million voters. And you can imagine out of that 6 million, how many ANC members are there? Probably it's around plus or minus 1 million, because they've lost a lot of members. So it means that around 5 million voters came from people who are not ANC members or card-carrying ANC members. It's very important for them to restore trust with these supporters and to make sure that to go back and say, look, we are coming back as the ANC. We have this plan that we are going, but it must not only the rhetoric. It must be modeled, it must be exampled. People want to see things like they've done now here in Johannesburg for G20. Roads were fixed, electricity was fixed, street lights were fixed.
Yeah.
Now, why can't they continue with that to make sure that they capitalized with that momentum? But remember that Johannesburg region just have a new leadership in itself. How are they going to make sure that they keep the unity and cohesion within the region so that the new leadership can go forward without affecting or rather without compromising the outgoing leadership?
And Professor, unfortunately, we are running out of time. Just to squeeze in, just a last comment from you when it comes to the issues around the Afrika Mayibuye Convention, which was held this week, as well as the EFF's fourth CCT.
Afrika Mayibuye, a new kid in the block. This is their maiden conference. You know that it was just registered in 2025, but since then it has been experiencing crisis, internal squabbles, upheavals, and leadership crisis. So it's very important that as they go there, they come up with a united front or plan so that they can go back and convince South African voters that they are here. Remember that we've got more than 500 registered political parties in South Africa. So if we're a new party, what are you bringing on the table? Yeah. What exactly are you bringing that other political parties are not? With EFF, I mean, they must be commended, because really since 2024 and 2025, they had this exodus of leaders, high caliber, high profile leaders, but they're still standing.
All right.
They must obviously make sure that they bounce back as well.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for your time. That's Professor Mazwe Majola, a political analyst there, just giving us a roundup of major political events.